Hi, this is Tim. Welcome to our PLC Programming Methods to Sequence Machine series. In this series, we're going to be simulating a machine with some basic buttons and lights. It's going to start with the green light on, and when we press the green button, the yellow light's going to come on. We press the yellow button, the red light's going to come on. Just to add a little bit of variability, pressing the red button won't make it go to the next step, but we need to press and hold it for 1 second, and then the blue light will come on. And finally, pressing the blue button will start the process all over. While this is a really simple thing we're doing here, this can easily be scaled to any machine. And the best part about the methods we're showing here is they are compatible with all Allen Bradley PLCs. From the Controllogix and Compactlogix for Studio 5000, formerly RsLogix 500, to RsLogix 500 for the Micrologix and the Slick 500, and even the Connected Components Workbench for the Micro800 PLC. Actually, these are probably compatible with most brands of PLCs because they use basic programming fundamentals. Now, I'm not a fan of all these methods, but you will run into them out in the field. And I debated what order to put these in, and I decided to put them from the one I'm most likely to do to the one I am the least likely to do. And that doesn't mean the ones on the tail end are necessarily the worst. They're just the ones, in my opinion, that I wouldn't use to program. In this lesson, we're going to show how to use a counter to track your machine steps. And this is actually the method I used in my very first program, which we reviewed not too long ago. Also note that this footage was extracted from a live stream, so it is not perfect. And we're going to create a new program. And let's go back to our Studio 5000, and our first one is a counter type. So this is the program we're going to be making. And so I am going to just call this one, let's just call it Sequence Counter. And if we go to Controllers, and in this case we have a Micro820, and it's a 2080 LC20 20 QBB, and we're going to select it and add to project. So in our program, the first thing that we desperately need to always remember to do is to set up that Ethernet configuration. And if you're using one of our standard trainers, then it's going to be 192.168.110 with a subnet of 255.255.255.0. Now in the case of mine, since I have that one back there set up, the Compactlogix for 10, mine I'm going to set it at 14. And then we're going to create a program. So we're going to add a new ladder diagram. And, and actually we're going to create two programs because we should segment ours a little bit, because that's something we definitely noticed in my first program, is that I had 300 rungs in one single routine. So I am going to rename this one to Outputs, and I'm going to rename this one to Sequence. Now this is something that is different between Studio 5000 and the Connected Components Workbench. Is in this case, all programs are executed in the order that they're listed. So let's say we wanted Sequence to execute first, then we would just drag it up here. And now it's going to execute Sequence, and then it's going to execute Outputs, and then it's going to start over. Whereas in Studio 5000, we have a main routine. And if we right-click our main program and go to Properties, we can see our main routine is the main routine. So it only executes this routine right here, and then we can use the JSRs or other means to go to the other ones. So in this case, I've done something that really you should not typically do, but I did this so that if we needed these samples, we could run them quickly. Is I have, well, here's my outputs, and then I have the different methods of sequencing where we can just switch them on and off as needed. But in this case, they are actually all executed. And if we wanted subroutines, we'd actually use user-defined functions. And I guess I could do it that way, but no, let's stick fairly basic here. So in this case, we're going to be using a counter to run our sequencers. So we're going to open that up. Okay, and in this case, we're going to use just a really basic counter. So first I'm going to drag down an instruction block. And then if we just start typing CT, you're going to see the counters that come up. You have a count up counter, a count down counter, and then we have the up down counter. And we're going to use the CTU up counter. And I am actually, let's leave this exactly as it is. And then we're going to need some conditions to make it count. So I'm going to bring down a rung. And our first condition was that button 3 would make it index if it was in step 1, or in this case step 0. So we're going to go to our IO tab, and then we're going to, I wish somebody explained to me. I'm not sure why the outputs come before the inputs, but I always almost do that. And actually it's input 4. So input 4 is connected to button 1. In fact, let's go ahead and label these while we're here. So this is our green button. This is our yellow button. Red button, and finally our blue button. Okay, so we're going to use the green button here. Now we only want, now one thing we got to think about is what is the first step of a counter. Counters do start at step or accumulated value of 0. So we will have a step 0. There's nothing wrong with that. But we only want this button to work when we're in step 0. So we're going to bring another instruction block down in front of it. And we're going to be looking for an equal statement. Now, we've talked about it in a few videos because if you're in Studio 5000, you're going to want to type EQU and you're going to get nothing. And that's because right now I am in the standard, they call it the standard theme, we'll look in a second. But mainly, in this case, we've got to hunt and find the equal sign. Or I guess, can you hit equals? Yeah, we could hit the equals symbol and it would bring these up. Now, if you're more used to Studio 5000, yes, the default theme up here, we're going to switch to the Logix theme. And then we'll go back in. And now if we double click on this, we can type EQU, which is what we're used to seeing in Studio 5000. And we can bring that in. All right, so now, what do we need to put here? Well, this is one of the differences in Connected Components Workbench is we don't really have a .acc file per se. We have, you assign it things. So right here, what I'm going to put is, I'm going to make this sequence number. So I'm going to double click here. And we're going to create a global variable called sequence. Let's see, am I going to create a new program each time? Yeah, we will. So we're just going to call this sequence number. And it will be a dent. And so this is now going to be the accumulated value of this counter. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy that. Let me right click that and copy. That way you can see what I did. And we're going to paste it right here. And I want to say if the sequence number is 0, and why is that not showing up as green button? Oh, it did. No, here. So this is a little bit different. Connected Components Workbench, I really don't know, what comments exactly are for. Because aliases are more of your comments or descriptions. There we go. Now we have a green button. So let me go back and take these out. And move these over here. Yeah. Well, Rod, what were you so slow on that for? You're right. I usually do too. I just, when I was sitting here talking, I sat there and put them in the comment column. All right, and while we're here, these are our lights. So this will be light 1. What's cool is in an alias situation, you can have spaces or anything in Connected Components. So they really do work just like, well, actually they're a good mix. This is a good, let me put these in. Light 2, light 3, light 4. All right, and mainly here we want the green button. What's cool about this is, let's just copy and paste that real quick, is I can type in _IO and I could go through all that and find that. But in this case, I can type yellow light. Yellow button. And there it is. So the alias is, in this case, it is kind of an alias because you can type them in, whereas descriptions in Studio 5000, you can't. So in this case, if our sequence number is 0 and we press the green button, then we're going to count up our counter. So that takes care of getting us through the first step. And now what we're going to do is, we're going to put a branch in the right place. And then we're going to copy, oh, that's right. Drag that there, drag this there. And then we're going to copy this equals down here. And actually we can just copy this green button down here as well. Drag it over. And in this case, now if we're in sequence number 1 and we press the yellow button, then we want it to count. Because that's what I said, right? Let's go back to our Studio 5000. Let me make sure yeah, counter, yellow button. Okay, now in this case, the red button, we want to have to hold it for 1 second before it goes on. I don't know, I just thought it would be nice to add a little something to it. So we're going to add another branch. And then we'll copy the equals. So in this case, though, we want a timer here. Now, here's where in this case, I would probably put it on an additional rung. So if our sequence equals 2, and we have the red button, and now we want a timer. So we are just going to use a TON. Now this is if you're in the Logix theme, you can type TON. And in this case, this is kind of one of the cool things about Connected Components Workbench is the way they use timers. Is one, I could put a variable in here, or I can simply put T #1S, and that's going to be a 1 second timer. I could also put in T #1000 MS, and that would be the exact same 1 second timer. So I really do like the way they do the timers. And then up here, we're going to look for the Q bit in this case. The Q bit is very similar to the done bit. So TON, Q bit. Now here's something I see, I was waiting for the right spot, is I see this done often. Is first I can add a description to this. So that's one thing I could do, is I could make this a little more descriptive, because right now, what is TON_1.Q? It's not really clear. A lot of people don't know is it defaults to these names, but you can change them. So if I double click right here, right there is the instance name. So I can put red button delay. Okay. And now it's one thing I don't like is it doesn't automatically change it here. Now we've got to go and type red button delay. Oops, didn't get it right. Red button delay .Q. Where am I? Why do I have a triangle here? Does anybody know? T, what am I missing? T #1S. That sure looks right. Let me just hit the build button on this. What is that? Maybe I'm missing something. Oh no, everything's fine. I'm not sure why it's showing a triangle here. Referring to undefined variable. Well, no. Yeah, it is an undefined variable because we just wrote that out. So, okay, maybe they'll come back to haunt us. I'm not sure. Now, here's one thing I would do here is, while this will work functionally fine, I actually probably would add this red button right here. Just for clarity. I don't know. I could go either way on that. This does nothing, has zero functionality because obviously the red button needs to be true for this timer to start. But if I was looking at it troubleshooting and I'm looking for an input, it might make it a little clearer that the red button's what I'm waiting on instead of having to chase this down. But okay, so that takes care of that one. And then finally, we're going to have a blue one. So we're going to add another branch. Oops, come on now. Why can I not? There we go. Below. And we're going to copy the equals one more time. And this time we're going to be looking for 3. And actually, yeah, we are going to do it this way. And this time we'll look for the blue button. All right, so that takes care of that. And now what we need to do, so that is going to index through these. In fact, yeah, let's go ahead and finish our outputs and then talk about how this works. So basically, if we're in sequence 0, I want the green light to be on. 1, I want the yellow light to be on. 2, I want the red light to be on. I think I got one of those off. Green, yellow, red, and blue. So those are what we'll want. So I'm going to go down here to this output one. And we're going to, if the sequence number equals 0, we're going to output light number 1. All right, we should be able to just copy and paste that. And so in this case, if it's number 1, then we're going to go to light 2. And if we go to number 2, light 3, and finally 3, and number 4. Okay, now this is partially going to work, but let's go ahead and download this and talk about exactly what's going on here. While we're downloading, if you could take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel button, Probably need to stop and drink some water on this. And subscribe to our channel, then it really helps us out a lot. We have a green light on now. So if this is right, when I press the green light, we should get the yellow light on. And okay. Looks like we have a learning opportunity because it does not work. So let's go into our program and figure out what is going on. And let's see, sequence, oops, well, let's get back over here. All right, all that looks right. Come over here and we press the green light. It's true. So I did not put in a preset right here, and it's not gonna, so yeah, let me just go offline. And I'm not gonna worry about figuring out the exact step. In fact, I'm just gonna put 100 in here. That's fine, I'll put 1,000 in there. That's because we're gonna reset it externally. In fact, that's why I wanted to download this so we could see, some options on that. So download this again, pop over here, and I hit the green button. All right, now the yellow button the yellow light illuminates. So now if I hit the yellow one, the red should illuminate. Now the red button, if I hit it, is not going to illuminate. So we can sit here and hit this and it's not going to happen because we have that timer on there. So I hit it for 1 second and we're going to get the green. Now when I hit the green button, you're going to see the green light go out. And that's the next thing we need to work on is now, if we go over to our program, we are in sequence number 4. Well, we only had steps 0 through 3. So 4 is not an actual sequence number. So at this point, if you were actually on a machine, you could either cycle stop it so that maybe an operator has to walk back up and do it again. Or in my case, I'm going to make it start all over. So I'm going to go offline here. And I am going to add another rung. And then we are going to put this equal statement. So I'm just going to right click, copy it. And I'm going to paste it here in rung 3. And if it equals 4, actually, you know, in here, while I don't believe there's any way it could happen, this shouldn't be an equal statement. This should be a greater than or equal, so a GEQ. Now, it should never be able to get above it, but that's a good thing to do, I think. So I can't think of why you wouldn't want to do that right now. And so when it is, we are going to reset that counter. Now, resets work differently in Connected Components Workbench. If we were in Studio 5000, then we could simply use an RES instruction right here and reset our counter. But in Connected Components Workbench, the reset is actually part of the base instruction. So in this case, we're going to need a tag here for this. So I'm going to call this reset sequence. Oops, so I got to create that. And now I can take that same reset sequence, copy it, and then right here we're going to use an output energize to that reset sequence. And we can take this out. And so let's download that. All right, so now it's showing a green light. And I press the green button. We go to a yellow light. I press the yellow button. We go to a red light. I press the red button. Whoops, I got to press it for 1 second now. So I press and hold that. We get a blue light. And then finally, when I press the green button now, it's going to go back to green. And we can sit here and do this all we want. All right. And so now, let's look at this in the program, make sure we understand exactly what's going on. So we have a counter here, and these are the conditions that we will count up with. So right now, sequence number has to equal 0. So in this case, sequence number is equal to 0, and we can see that because it's red on the right side of it. This case, it would need to be 1. This case, it would need to be, whoops, got off, 2 and 3. So these 3 lower branches are all false. This is the only true branch we have, so we press the green button, and you never actually see it go true there, do you? You saw that really this turned red, and all of a sudden this was blue. Well, that's because the scan cycle for that one split, maybe 2-3 millisecond scan, I'm not even sure what the scanning time of this is, that was true. But our PC is not going to update that fast. So now we're in step 1. So we can see that by the red here, and it's going to look for the yellow to be true. So this sequence number here is the same as this sequence number here, 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 and here. They're all the same tag. So we press the yellow button, and that shifts it down to here. Now here, if I hit the, well, if I can do it quick enough, yeah, so you can see the red button indicating, but since I'm not holding it for a full second, it's never going to go through because it's waiting on that delay. So we're going to hold that, and now it shifts to the next one, and it's looking for the blue, and we go back to the beginning. And this is pretty much what we saw in my first RsLogix 500 program, is me sequencing this way. So I hope this video has been helpful. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We put out at least one automation video a week. Next, we're going to show you a few links, including the PLC programming methods to sequence machine series. Till next time. Hi, this is Tim.
And this is Amber of TW Controls. We run the automation store. Hey, thanks for finding our channel.
Here's a playlist with some similar videos.
And YouTube thinks you'll like this video.
Please like our video and subscribe to our channel.
And if our videos have helped you make some money and you're not using our products, please consider supporting us on Patreon.
Till next time.
See ya!